The ribbon fell away, and Zuko found himself inside a dark space. Moonlight streamed in through a crack in the bark he had made, and through it he saw a thin strip of rocky wasteland outside. He stood inside the trunk of a spirit tree, and he was not alone. Something moved in the inky darkness beyond. "Stay back," Zuko barked, and threw a bolt of fire down, or tried to. His chi moved, but there was no flash of warmth in his veins. No fire came. A dark chuckle rolled out of the blackness. "You can't escape, little human. The balance has been restored, and your firebending will no longer work inside the spirit world. You are as trapped as I am." "What? What do you mean?" He squinted, making out the vague outline of something triangular. "Who are you?" "My name," said the dark voice, "is Vatu." There was a pause. Zuko pressed his back against the rough bark, wishing he had his sword with him. "Are you a spirit?" A wrong answer. The darkness in front of him seemed to swell in indignation. "Am I a spirit?" it roared. "I am one of the great spirits. How could you not?" "Rawa." It spat like a curse. She has struck me from human memory. Or perhaps you're just uneducated. Despite everything, the raging spirit, and the oddness of the situation, Zuko straightened his spine. "I'm hardly uneducated. My name is Zuko, son of Ursa, and Fire Lord Ozai, prince of a Fire Nation." "The Fire Nation," Vatu repeated in disgust. Zuko clenched his fists. "We have a problem with the Fire Nation?" There was a sound as if heavy fabric was being dragged over stone. Zuko had the impression the spirit was pacing back and forth. His eyes had adjusted to the darkness enough to make out the general shape of Vatu. He stood larger than Zuko, but bowed as if it couldn't fully stand up straight. It had a triangular head and no mouth he could see. It had a glow about itself. Zuko never thought that black could glow, but there was something vaguely luminescent about it. Purples, reds, and deep blues that seemed somehow darker when the inky blackness. Only that human beings let Rawa separate you by the elements, Vatu said. "Tell me, do you worship her? Do you thank her for bringing order and peace to your pathetic lives?" Zuko knew he was being mocked, but he wasn't quite sure how or why. I don't know who Rava is. Indeed, the pacing stopped. I have heard she calls her human vessel the Avatar. I don't worship the Avatar, Zuko snapped. I'm trying to capture him. And because he had spent the last almost 3 years learning everything he could about avatars in preparation for his quest, he added, and what do you mean by vessel? The avatar is the spirit of the world. Lies, Vatahist. The avatar is merely a human vessel for my partner Rava. We are half of the same. I am the dark to her light, the push to her pull, the freedom to her order. Rava and Vatu had been in the same dance since the beginning of time, thousands upon thousands of years. Until she changed the rules. During the last harmonic convergence, she sought the aid of a human and merged with him, becoming more powerful than I could ever imagine. Then she shut me away in here so she could remake the world into her image. This is the tree of time, Zuko realized. Vatu's words had lit a tiny spark of memory, a children's story, told in his mother's voice. He did not think it had been an approved Fire Nation history, just an old folk tale. Not important. Until now. Zuko edged back again, his back pressing against the wall. You are the evil trapped in the tree of time. What had he done? More lies. What a hist. I am not evil. I am the other side of light. Which sounded pretty evil to Zuko. He tried to swallow through a suddenly dry throat. The avatar, the first avatar. One wanted peace. He was a firebender, the first real firebender. What is peace to the downtrodden? What is neared? What? I don't... Has the world been at peace these last 10,000 years? Batu mocked. How has Rava's world worked for you? One people separated into 4 depending on their elements. Do you all get along? The answer to that was written over half of Zuko's face. The avatar disappeared for 100 years, Zuko said. He tried to stop the Fire Nation, then ran like a coward. Then, that is the fault of the human vessel, Batu paused, considering. Or perhaps it was the human vessel's strength. None of this made sense. Zuko's head ached. This sounded like one of Uncle's riddles, and he hated those. No matter what he answered, it was always wrong. He turned away to glance at the world outside the crack. He did not understand what he said. I don't care, Zuko replied. I need to find a way out of here. He needed to capture the avatar, Rava, whoever he was. He needed to reclaim his destiny. Watu was silent for a moment. Then he spoke. Consider the wildflowers. Zuko scowled. This was definitely drifting into the territory of Uncle's obscure metaphors, flowers and all. He turned back to Watu. I don't want to talk about stupid wildflowers. A black ribbon shot out, quick as a snake, twisting around his neck. Not tight enough to cut off his breath, but the threat was there. Zuko scrabbled, but as before, the spirit ribbon was too strong. He couldn't claw it away. The end of the ribbon reached up and covered Zuko's eyes, tight as a blindfold. Consider the wildflowers, Batu said again, with forced patience. And suddenly in the darkness, Zuko saw a vision of a wild-grown field in the height of summer. A riot of colors, in every shade and variety he could imagine. And quite a few he couldn't name. Each plant pushed its way toward the sun, all straining towards the sky. And Zuko saw the roots tangling below in the rich soil, the bugs crawling below and between, among the stems and over the petals, pollinating on accident and on purpose. Fighting for the territory, finding mates, laying eggs. He saw animals, small and large, that both fed on and depended on the plant life around it. All among the plants, but both poisoned and nurtured them all. He saw this all at once, in the same moment, and in the future, and in the past, through each season, each day, each second. It was beautiful and terrible, and his mind spun trying to take it all in. It was too much, so much movement, drama, life, in a small area. Not all of it was happy. There was death there too, but death gave way to life, which fought, and crawled, and grew, and died again, and was reborn. Yes, Watu said, in his mind, as the flowers grew, seeded, died, regrew again. So you see the chaotic bounty of life. Stop, Zuko choked out. He was looking at perhaps a small part of one meadow in a random part of the world, but was perceiving all of it at one time, from the deepest root to the sky, and he couldn't. His brain was going to explode. The vision faded to velvety blackness. Zuko bent, drawing in ragged breaths. His eyes streamed tears under the blindfold, and he wasn't sure why. The ribbon had not released him. He knew more was coming. This is what I am, Watu said. Clashing, fighting, straining, living. You're a being of fire. You know passion for life is what makes existence worth enduring. This is what I want. Zuko let out a breath. What? He asked, dreading the question. Does Rava want? Then, in Zuko's mind's eye, he was not looking at a field. He was looking at cultivated fire tulips, planted in perfect rows, each beautiful and well grown, each turned towards the sun in uniformity. There was no trace of disease, no strife. Even the roots had been conditioned to grow into perfect harmony with its neighbors. Rava sees beauty in the order, Vato said, in the perfection of plants, given exactly what they need to thrive. Not too much, not too little, of the bees that pollinate them, existing under one queen in perfect harmony, the ants underground that think with one mind. The cultivated field of tulips was beautiful too. It was also stark and painfully sterile. This is what Rava wishes to turn our world into. First, 4 nations, perfectly in balance, each with its own leader and separate philosophy. No clashing, no strife, only peace. Then only one people. The perfect rose of red and of fire tulips went on and on the same, forever and ever, until Zuko was dizzy with it, until the red looked like spilled blood on the ground. He realized it was blood after all. Blood which marched through the veins of a people so alike that Zuko could not tell one from another. They all had the same skin tone, the same look in their blank eyes, the same features, with the exact same opinions, lived in the same type of dwelling, and there was no jealousy or envy between them. No fighting at all, because they were all the same and lacked for nothing. We weren't people at all, we were ants, worse than ants, because even ant colonies grew and declined and made war against each other. These people simply existed. Stop, he gasped again. The vision faded and the ribbon fell from his eyes and unwound from his neck. Zuko fell to his knees, holding his head in his hands. That's the world the Avatar wants, he croaked. Rava calls submission peace. She would have no disagreements, no dissent, no passion. Her vessel. Vato paused and then admitted. I suspect not. The only reason Rava has not yet made the world a soulless, barren place is because of her human vessel, for I live in the hearts of all human beings. Rava calls it war, I call it freedom. Zuko stood up. Then help me, capture the Avatar, lock him. Lock her in here like she has done to you. You little fool, Vato snarled. Haven't you been listening? We are two halves of the same whole. Chaos means nothing without peace. This is something that Rava has never understood. She would try to end the war. I know that war is existence. Zuko shut his eyes. This was why he hated riddles. He always got their answers to them wrong. It doesn't matter, Zuko said. I can't do anything if I am stuck in here. He turned towards the crack in the bark. The strip of light which was all he could see of the world. True, Vato admitted. At least until harmonic convergence comes. Then all will be equal again. I at least will have a chance to be free. When is that? Only one human lifetime away. I can't stay in here for that long. Oh, I suspect I will die of dehydration within 2 days, Prince Zuko. Your next incarnation may see it, though. Not that you will remember. That's not funny. He turned towards the crack again. A spark of an idea, born from the same tiny rebellious voice that screamed no whenever his father said he was too stupid. A failure, lucky to be born. You said that Rava grew stronger than she joined with a human. If you, Zuko took a breath, if you joined with me, could we get out of here together? The spirit laughed. I, Vato, bind myself to a mortal. A being of freedom, submit and give up and merge with another. It's not giving up, it's changing with the times. Rava beat you 10,000 years ago. Do you want to stay in here another 10,000? He said. What if she uses the next harmonic convergence to remake the world into that place? Like with stark, sterile tulip fields. Vato went silent for a long moment. Then, you don't know what you ask. I know that if I don't get out of here, I am going to starve to death, Zuko snapped. I'm not afraid to die, but I will not spend my last days listening to you monologue about chaos and freedom. He stepped forward. I'm not ready to give up. I'll do whatever it takes to get out of here and win back my honor. Honor, Vato snorted. You carry the heart of Rava within you too. I do? How could honor be a bad thing? Human beings have both chaos and order within their hearts, Vato said. Zuko sensed that was important, but not particularly relevant. He stood in place, arms crossed, waiting. Finally, Vato spoke. I would be with you not just for the remainder of his life. Rava merged with one, and she has stayed with him throughout all of his many incarnations. That gave Zuko pause, but not for long. This was his only shot at getting free, and Vato, well, It would be up to his future life to deal with him. Fine, whatever. Luca grit his teeth. Do it. With the sound of cloth over stone, Vato stepped forward into a shaft of moonlight. Zuko laid eyes on him for the first time, a pattern both familiar and strange, like a mandala rug, with the head of a flatworm, but beautiful in an alien way. It was not a creature, it was somehow a force of nature. For a third time, Vato's ribbons shot out and wrapped around his limbs. Zuko forced himself not to fight it or look away, as Vato pulled himself in. It was like standing in the beating heart of a flame. Love, passion, rage, joy, hate. It was the passion of the fire, the strength of the earth, the chaos of water and the freedom of air. Zuko screamed and felt Vato screaming with him. He burned and froze at the same time, and as they became one, the energy of it shattered the prison around them. Suddenly, Zuko found himself laying again on the snow and ice field in the mortal world. The weak northern sun had risen. Agni's light fed strength into his bones. He stood and coughed out flame that warmed his blood from the inside out. He felt different, but he wasn't exactly sure how yet. More like himself and also less at the same time. What now? He asked, mostly to himself, and was surprised when he got an answer from deep within his heart. Now we've become a true rival to Rava. What do you mean? He heard Vato's dark chuckle. I speak of a being you call an avatar. Now there are two in the mortal world. Horror and surprise roared through him. Zuko's first thought naturally was, what would his father think? Would he love Zuko at last, now that he had the strength of an avatar? But somehow his father's opinion wasn't quite as important as it was before. After all, he had bowed low to his father, gave up his challenge during the Agni Kai and begged for forgiveness. And just look what that had gotten him. Now we will attempt to undo some of the damage Rava has brought to the world, and she will undo what she sees is our chaos and her quest for order. The never-ending battle will begin anew, Vato said, with the deepest satisfaction, as it has always been, as it should be. Then Zuko's stomach sank. If I am supposed to be an avatar, which was a concept so strange he could hardly say it, after fire the next element is air, and the airbenders are gone. Of course they are, Vato said. Four separate peoples represent too much of a disorder for Rava. We will fix that too, in time, but no matter. What you call this avatar cycle is merely Rava's cycle. We are her opposite, Zuko realized. Yes, vessel. Your next step is not air, it is earth. Then I will have to find an earth-bending master. Now that the sun was up, he had a direction in mind. The city was north, but the direct coast also cut to the east. If he could get to the coast, he could make his way to the south and eventually the Earth Kingdom. Since the day of his banishment, Zuko thought his destiny was to capture the Avatar. Now he had a new destiny, to frustrate him, to stop him. Zuko started walking. The end.